Man, people are split on Saquon Barkley and Joe Mixon, who are some of the other most polarizing players in fantasy. Let's ask Heath Cummings. I can't speak today. Let's ask Heath Cummings what he thinks. Heath, who are plumb of the most polarizing players in fantasy?
Let's just talk about the guys I like, because every time we do this, I end up getting stuck with the guys that I'm lower on. So Josh Jacobs, Juju Smith-Schuster, I think oddly enough, Mark Andrews is a little bit polarizing. And I tweeted out the other day that these are the players I keep drafting the most. So far through my first 11 or 12 redraft drafts, I have more Patrick Mahomes than anyone else. And I got so many responses. I thought fantasy experts were supposed to know better than to draft your early quarterback. How is drafting Patrick Mahomes or Lamar Jackson now polarizing?
Hey, because it's a, it's fairly deep position here. Build the rest of your roster, right?
Right. That's what they say. But I still like Mahomes in round 3 and Lamar Jackson in round 4. And most of you listening probably won't even get that opportunity. So I don't know what we're talking about that for. But I think
ADP,
Jacobs and Juju are two guys who I just feel like the industry's gotten too far down on them. They've fallen too far. I take Josh Jacobs at the end of round 4, early round 5. I take Juju in round 6. And inevitably, you show a roster that has Josh Jacobs and Juju on it, and everybody hates that team. That team is not good. Even if one of them's your flex and the other one's your wide receiver 3. I still think Jacobs is a pretty high floor number 2 running back, and I still think he has top 12 upside.
Okay, people, obviously Joe Mixon. And let's talk about Barkley and Mixon since I teased them a little bit. But Barkley, you have as a second-round pick. His ADP is probably, if anything, it's going to go up as fingers crossed the reports get better, but so far it's been fairly encouraging here. But even if he were fully healthy, cleared for week 1, and they said there are no workload restrictions, would you move him into the first round then?
If there were no workload restrictions and they said we're just a full, I don't think that's very realistic, but yes, I would have him as a borderline first round pick. I still think we have a lot to see with Saquon Barkley. It has been neat the way they've structured it to where every week they get to tell us that he's doing some new exercise that he didn't do the week before, but he's still not participating in 7-on-7 drills when they're wearing shorts. So I don't think he's so close to a full workload for week 1.
And Joe Mixon, should you hold grudges against fantasy players?
You should never, ever, ever hold grudges against fantasy players because you made a bad choice and drafted them too early the prior year.
Well, he was bad last year.
He played like 5 3/4 games or something, and one of them was one of the best games in fantasy, and 3 others he scored between 12 and 14 PPR points. He was pretty mediocre in the 4 games that he wasn't the best running back in football, but he's shown us before the ability to be a top 12 running back, even with Giovanni Bernard. I don't think Chris Evans is taking the Gio role. They've talked about how they want him to have 20 plus touches per game. And I think this is the best Bengals offense that he's ever played on.
The other topic we talked about on fantasy football today was how to draft in deeper leagues and shallower leagues. What would you say for a 10-team league? How do things change?
Well, if you're setting the playoffs and you're setting the consolation matchup, make sure you tune into our regular FFT for that story from Adam Azer's Commissioner Adventures. 10-team leagues, go get your studs. Deeper leagues, be wary of the more shallow positions. Running back and tight end are usually what those positions are, and target those earlier.
Did you already gave the deeper league thing too?
I said shallow and deeper both. Yes. Can you play the Chris Towers in the shallow singing?
I guess we're done then. I was budgeting more time for that. Okay. So listen to the full-length show for a lot more strategy talk and for more polarizing players. For Heath Cummings, I'm Adam Azer. Talk to you tomorrow.